Hi, now we're going to begin to talk about container view controllers. By this I mean some view controller that contains other view controllers. And the first one of these we're going to talk about, and arguably the most important of these, is the navigation controller. Now, a navigation controller contains other view controllers in a stack. We push new view controllers onto that stack, and their views are displayed. And we also pop view controllers off the stack, and their views go away. So let's get started. The navigation controller is an instance of a class named UI Navigation Controller, and this is a subclass of UI View Controller. It should be View Controller, sorry about that. A navigation controller is a container for view controllers. Every view controller inside a navigation controller is a member of an NS array named view controllers. So a navigation controller has a property named view controllers. The array functions as a stack. A view controller at the bottom of the stack, in other words, the first view controller displayed, or the default view controller, is going to be called by a property named root view controller of the navigation controller. When we push new view controllers onto the stack, we call push view controller animated, and this will push new view controllers onto the stack. It'll push the new view controller onto the stack, it displays the new view controller's view, and it adds a back button to the navigation bar. Now, the navigation bar is given to every view controller in the navigation controller stack by the navigation controller itself. We don't have to do anything to display this navigation bar. All we have to do is add a view controller to our navigation controller, and it will have a navigation bar. On the other end of the other side of the coin, we can pop view controllers off the navigation controller stack by using one of three methods. Pop view controller animated will pop the currently being viewed view controller, if it's not the root view controller. Pop to root view controller animated will pop to a specific view controller in the stack, and pop to pop to root view controller animated will pop us back all the way back to the root view controller if we're deep within the stack, and pop to view controller animated will pop us back to the specific named view controller. Now, we can get that name, or we can use the index of the view controller's array to pop back to that view controller. Tapping the back button in the nav bar will also pop the top view controller. So this is the same as using the method pop to view controller animated. Every view controller in the stack has a property named navigation controller, and this gets us back to the actual navigation controller, the UI navigation controller object that holds all the view controllers. And we sometimes use this when a view controller needs to pop itself off the stack. We'll go back to the navigation controller and then pop view controller animated. When we're in a storyboard, however, we use segues to push new view controllers onto the stack, but we can still use the pop methods to pop them off. To use a segue, we create an active control, and we already talked about storyboard segues, but we create some sort of active control, and then control drag from that control to the new view controller to be pushed. In a navigation controller, we use the push segue type from the pop-up menu. So how do we use these things? When do we use these things, more importantly? Well, the navigation controller is used when we want to display our view controllers in an ordered, hierarchical way. So we have a picture here of a navigation controller that contains a stack. It has a root view controller that is set as that navigation controller's root, and then we push a view controller, and we push another view controller, and so on and so forth. Normally we pop in the reverse direction, but remember, we can also pop back to a specific view controller or all the way back to the root view controller. So now look at the demos and then play with that code and see how you can set up these navigation controllers. Navigation controllers are sometimes used within the context of other container controllers, like a tab bar controller, for instance. And navigation controllers also are used in conjunction with table views that we're going to talk about in the next unit. Thank you very much.